meeting to order. Mr. Pegg, would you like to begin?
Sure. Yep, I'm going to welcome everybody to this month's work session. I'm going to jump ahead to item number 5 for Troy Golden. Troy, I believe I saw him come in. I'm going to have Troy go first. Troy had a battle with Yellow Jackets yesterday, so I told Troy I'd try to let him go first. So we can get home and nurse his wounds. Well, look at him.
Thank you, Mr. Pegg. I did lose that battle. I went 3 rounds there. But yeah, I appreciate you letting me go first. And I'll go through pretty quick what's going on in the school. Start up of the year fairly good. Had a few issues we dealt with, and we're moving on. Last chance breakfast, we started at the elementary schools, middle school, and the high school. All the schools except for Mason. Participation continues to climb. It's been successful thus far. I do have numbers at North that I wanted to point out most of all. We had a 75% increase in breakfast at North. We're currently serving, on the average daily, 242 breakfasts. For last year, we were about 238. Or I'm sorry, 138. So that's incredible that we picked up that much. South is right on the right, they're on the right path as well as our elementary schools. Our goal is 20%, and we're right at that threshold. We're going to keep pushing to get that up. So it's being received well by the students. Tailgate party at the high school, I won't steal Mr. Hutchinson's thunder because it was good. It was a great time. I thought it was a great way to bring school spirit back to the high school. And we had our corn husking contest. That's what I wanted to do. We brought in some corn, and the students seemed to enjoy it. We gave out some prizes to get them involved. Yeah, it was really cool, and I think moving forward, I'd like to work with Mr. Hutchinson on that as well as we progress with that. I did get a chance to speak to Denise after I came in today. A little messed up on Benadryl, but I'm still heard what she said, and it made me happy. She actually went through and audited the records for 17, 18, and our final number, I should say, our bottom line is a loss of $124,165,000. Now that sounds like a lot. We're projected to lose $238,828, so we're approximately $115,000 ahead of budget. So Denise and I talked, and I have some little ideas. We're going to keep whittling away at this debt to see how far we can get it down to our break even, which is our goal. But with that said, that's all I have. If you guys have anything for me.
Mr. Golden, explain what last chance breakfast is to me, please.
Okay. Last chance breakfast is if a student comes in late to school, does not have an opportunity to eat, or sometimes students come into school that are half asleep and not prepared to have breakfast. At that time, they're not feeling hungry. So between the first and second period, we're allowing some time for them to come down for a grab-and-go meal. A lot of it would be like a Pop-Tart or a muffin, fruit, juice, and a milk. And they're able to take that back to the classroom in a lunch bag. They eat it there and then dispose of it. So it gives that opportunity for them to get that nourishment they need to get their day started.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Troy. We have our principals here. We do have a couple that were not at work today that aren't with us this evening. Do we have any questions for any of our building principals? Any questions for Mr. Hutchinson, the high school?
I was, Mr. Hutchison, just speaking with Mr. Pegg concerning the homecoming parade, because I know we've had trouble with the parking, with everything that's been going on with the sewage. But he just told me that he feels that grass has come up where we planted in the one part, and it's going to be okay. And I'm guessing you're on board. You feel that it'll be all right.
Yeah, we've had a number of conversations, myself, Dwayne, as well as Mr. Pegg, Mr. Cheslow. One idea that I think Mr. DuPont threw out, depending on the weather, it seems like they cut it once, and they did okay. The Kubota was kind of okay. My concern is if it gets crowded, obviously the weather, and then where we're going to park them for the homecoming parade. One suggestion may have been, do we look at having the parade if the weather is poor, or do we have the parade on Thursday? If we had the parade on Thursday, obviously it would alleviate all the traffic from the visiting team, which would give us more parking, things like that. So that's one suggestion. I was on it last Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday, and it seemed pretty good. I had him drive on it just to make sure I wasn't losing my mind, and it seemed to hold up. The thing about it is, if somebody gets in there and gets in there, they're going to be in it. So spoke with Chief, a couple things. We got a couple things in place. We'll see how the weather turns out. But that's one suggestion if we did it on Thursday. Obviously, I don't want the girls to get their hair done and makeup and all that stuff twice. So, you know, if they did the cars on Thursday in something like a colonial gear, and then, you know, got dressed for Friday.
Well, I'm a little concerned about what's going on in the roads around the high school, too.
Correct. And depending on where they're going to be, you know, there's not a lot of room for, you know, even though they opened up Township Drive, you still, if you're coming in the morning or leaving, you might get hung up there. You know, and there's no room to park there on the side.
And I mean, I understand it's no fault of theirs. We had the most rainiest summer,
right.
So I'm sure that's one reason why they're behind. But I am concerned about it. So I guess I'll just leave it up to all of you to keep an eye on it.
Well, that was my thought. That would be the only suggestion I would bring up or ask all of you. Well, are you opposed to having it on Thursday? If we can't do it on Friday, depending on the weather-wise, obviously it's not what I'd like, however, but I think it would alleviate a lot of unnecessary cars.
I mean, I don't know. What do you all think?
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with it.
I think it's the end result could be that you have a much lower turnout on Friday night.
If we had it on Thursday?
Or at either event.
I agree. Obviously, I wouldn't want to have it on Thursday. Right. Worst case scenario. You know, can we manage? We had a hard time managing the first game parking. And I got a number of calls about that area on Sleepy Hollow. So my concern is where are they going to park? If they can't park on Sleepy Hollow, where are we going to park them for the parade?
Well, then another concern of mine is the elementaries. They always bring some type of, you know, truck with a, you know,
right,
and it's carrying all the kids, and I'm worried about them even being able to get down to the school.
Well, and here's the other part. We use this as, you know, to prep. And you don't have that back parking lot now with all their materials in the back.
Are the circumstances such that we need to consider not having the parade?
I did consider that, but I thought that would go over like a lead balloon. I'm okay if we don't. I know that's one of the traditions that a lot of people look forward to. I did talk to some other people about even bringing the girls down and you know, the track we've had with the people putting the field in, there's been a number of vehicles down right on the track. My other thought was just bring the girls in on Friday, make a lap around the track in their cars, get out, do homecoming before the game.
We did that. One year we did that, not with cars, with golf carts. Mm-hmm. The girls rode around just in golf carts.
And go that route.
Chase, is it possible to bring a parade down through here?
It's not a good situation.
But
I checked
right here.
I checked on the
started right here.
I need a permit to go on the state road,
yeah,
and we'll never get that in time. We can start it here, but you're not going to get very far. By the time the line actually ends up, the fire trucks and everything else are lined up right here. I'm in for whatever.
I mean, I would like to see it be canceled, but I just feel this. I just feel that it's going to be.
We can still hold the homecoming, obviously the homecoming festivity with the girls and have them go around the track on the car in their cars. You know, I certainly see the concern with the road is dug up in places. There's a lot of gravel, and all that hasn't been patched. Where they come through at the end of the parade, coming through the lot, that's still muddy. You know, so weather permitting, the options are either have it on Thursday, the day before, to alleviate a lot of the traffic from the visiting buses and all the people coming to the game itself, or simply don't have the parade this year because of the conditions, around Sleepy Hollow and Township Drive.
So I'll put that in your hands. I'm willing to do both. I can wait and give you, until we see the weather. If it dries out, like I said, I've had a car on there. My truck was on there. Mr. Cheslow was on there with his. The Kubota was on there. It's soft. I wouldn't leave it to the general public to be out there rip snorting around, because then we're in for it.
What time frame, Mr. Hutchison, do you need if you were going to make a decision to cancel?
I'd probably do it Tuesday of that week. I did put on that flyer that went out to everybody, due to the sewage and the construction around the high school, we are due to, it could be possibly canceled. So that's an option.
What about having a local municipality host our parade? Smithfield, Macytown, Fairchance, one of the towns.
I would entertain that. However, I think all of you sitting up there know that what we went through with the band and trying to go to different parades. I think I don't want to offend. If that's something that we want to look into and start, then we better rotate it the following year. That's just my suggestion.
I don't know if they would have time to get back, do the parade and get back for what needs to be done at the game.
Dwayne, how much do we make at homecoming? It's pretty good profit, right? Because everybody's there, or we let everybody in free?
It's a combination of both. We do very well. It's usually one of our best gates. But if they ride on the float, all the kids get it for free.
And who do we play?
Franklin Region.
So they're going to bring, they're going to bring, Franklin Regional is going to bring a lot of buses because of band and people coming.
I personally would probably lean towards, nobody wants to cancel it. It's a fun event for everybody. It does bring out extra people. But given the circumstances, a combination of the wet weather and the road is totally torn up, our fields are torn up, I personally would lean towards canceling the big parade just for this year. Let the girls go around, the field. And in that way, you don't have, I really think that if you piecemeal it and do it 2 separate nights, you're not going to have the same enthusiasm of just one big event.
I foresee it. I agree with you. I know if we had it on Thursday, you'd get everybody out there who wants the candy.
Right.
And then once they got it, they'd be gone.
How is the preparation going among the schools? Do they have any idea what we're thinking about the elementaries? Is their preparation going too far?
To the floats that they, or the ideas that they're going with?
Yes.
No.
Anyone?
No. I have a float lined up, but it's merely picking up the trailer and bringing it here. I think the biggest preparation is the students signing up to participate on the float, depending upon each elementary school. And if they decorate it, that's it.
Well, and could you instead of doing a traditional float, if we wanted to be creative and incorporate them, couldn't they walk in groups around like with banners or they could be creative as they want.
I'm not concerned about the people in it. I'm concerned about the people that show up. Yeah. Is my concern. Or the safety of that end.
There are cars parked all the way up to the end of
right.
Almost to your both sides.
Right.
I was just concerned if they were already prepared for this, in the elementary school.
No, I kind of put it out on the flyer that I sent to those the principals as well. Hey, stay tuned. So I kind of left the door open. I know it's big, a big event that is well attended. However, the safety and everything else that goes with it, along with the parking, I can do whatever.
The other thing, when we're discussing safety here, they did a lot of road cuts down there on Township and Sleepy Hollow They're filled in with modified grass. In this rain, they keep sinking down, where hopefully, if you have it, they need to get in there and fill those trenches back up, because these kids that are on these little farm wagons and trailers, when that thing hits that, it's going to be more like that. And I dread the thought of a 9, 10, 12-year-old bouncing out the side of the trailer, because the ride down there is not smooth. I mean, between the debris on the road and then the cuts they did.
Let's just put it up.
Yeah, it's not going to be the popular thing to do, but I'm for it.
All those, a hand vote if you're in favor of canceling the parade for this year only due to the area around the school. Okay. So, Mr. Hutchison, we can talk to the middle school bands if they would still like to come and perform on the field instead of the parade. They may have been working on something for the homecoming. The same way with the elementary and middle school cheer.
Okay.
They always do a performance on the field before the game.
Okay.
So we can still hold those things intact.
Yep.
We just won't have the parade around the school due to the conditions around
Okay.
the high school.
All right.
I have one more question, if you don't mind. Bringing the middle school bands in, would it be possible to let them walk the track one time around while playing the beats? That way everybody...
Yeah, that's what we'll talk to the band directors about, if they would be interested in doing that, you know, just on the track.
Because you could stagnate them with the cars and the girls, or vice versa, putting it up.
Okay.
Yeah, we just have to
Thanks.
make sure that the court goes around the track.
Any other questions for Mr. Hutchinson? Any questions for Albert Gallatin South? Mr.
Oh,
Dillon?
I'm sorry, can I go back to Mr. Hutchinson?
Yes.
How is the bag scanning going? I know, like, in the lines in the morning with kids coming in.
The bag scanners at the high school are
Fantastic.
pretty incredible, the bag scanners. The student parking lot, we're getting better at the time, but the bag scanners, we're probably putting 1,100 through there in 15 minutes,
Okay.
20 minutes, maybe not that many, but we're not seeing a problem. And we haven't picked out anything. I tell you, like I said before, the kids have been absolutely resilient. They got the procedures down. It's routine.
So is there a concern that we need to have some kind of shelter for these kids in the morning when bad weather comes?
I'm concerned about that today. We were hustling today. We let them in a little early because of the weather conditions down at the student parking lot. However, we are getting them in at, we've cut our time down and made some adjustments of some students that probably the student driver end. So we're getting them in there about 7:20, 7:18. That's something we have to look at. But as of right now, we got that overhang and we're trying to get them in depending on the weather. So that would be my only concern. The front, they have the overhang, so that's not a concern. I haven't seen anybody at this point. The line hasn't been outside of the overhang.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, Jason, you say 1,100 coming in down here?
The main gate, I only got, last time I checked, one day I had maybe the first week of school we had 264 and I quit counting. But I only had 90 cars in the lot. Okay. Since then it's kind of going down. I met with them and just told them about siblings. So the last time I checked I think it was at 102. Okay. Taking them in, so that's worked. I also got planned.
I misunderstood.
No, I got 1,100 baby coming through the front door,
okay.
Or 1,000 that we get in. I do have a plan that I'm going to move some drivers over to the other side, which will help. So that's my next. They're on work release, so they'll all be out of there at 10:48. So that'll take about 20 drivers out off of the back parking lot.
Thank you.
Yep.
This question is for all principals, and since Mr. Hutchison has given his report, in Mr. Cheslow's report it said that after the August board meeting, he met with the principals and got a list of items that needed done before the beginning of school. I'm wondering why that list wasn't done in May. Mr. Cheslow states that he and 4 maintenance man and the custodian worked 10-hour days and still didn't get the items completed. Is this normal to wait until August for Mr. Cheslow to get a list of maintenance items that need done? 3 weeks or whatever the period of time for maintenance to be started in buildings isn't feasible. And I just have a question if this is standard procedure or what. Anybody want to address that?
This is the first year that we addressed this way. We called it a maintenance blitz. We're putting everybody together and doing this. It was an idea Mr. Pegg and Mr. Hutchison came up with, and myself after the last board meeting. So we said it worked out great, but next year we do want to do this in maybe June or July, so we have more time.
Why wouldn't you do it?
This is the first year we put all four together. This was the first time we've had the idea. Normal maintenance is done through school due. I don't take all four maintenance men and run through the buildings like this. We never have. It's never been done. This is the first year it's ever been tried. It was an idea that came up. They approached me and said, let's try to do this, and we did it.
I'll take responsibility for that. After that August board meeting, I went home and figured out, obviously, we're here to educate and be the administrators. However, they were concerned, there was building concerns all over. So as I laid in bed that night, I thought, how are we going to get everything taken care of in 3 weeks? That was my thought. What led up prior to all that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I was worried about opening school on my end. However, I think of the first one, I learned probably something that it should be done in June. In July, and we shouldn't be scrambling in August.
Maintenance items, in my estimation, should be done before buildings are cleaned. Because if
there's maintenance going on every day of the week. These were items that were not emergency items. They were items that needed to be done, but we couldn't get to them because of all the maintenance items. We're constantly working on univents. We're constantly working on air handlers, refrigeration, electrical items, plumbing items, everything like that. These were big token items that the school has been wanting to get done. Ms. Predolinski, PTO was going to do hers. We jumped in and replaced all the boards around her, playground before they mulched it and everything. These are big ticket items that needed to be done that aren't, my guys are just putting fires out. That's all they can do. And it took,
again, I have a question. You said they're big ticket items, but they waited 3 weeks before school started.
A lot of this stuff wasn't brought, some of the items were not even brought to our attention until then. We went, Mr. Pegg, Mr. Hutchison, and myself went to each school and asked them to comprise a list of not only maintenance ideas, but technology ideas. And they gave Mr. Bolden a list of items to be done on technology. So we went around and knocked these out. We couldn't do these. I couldn't send 2 guys to do a lot of these items. So we all banged together, and we actually had extra help to get them done.
What items were not completed? You said that
some of them weren't completed because we have to order materials and stuff.
Which ones were not completed?
I don't have the list in front of me, ma'am. I know there's some water fountains. There's a grate that we need to put at Smithfield. I can't think of them off the top of my head. I've got them written down, but I know the grate Jimmy and Keith have the grate to put on at Smithfield. The water fountains have been purchased. They're setting it north, ready to get on. Again, they're out putting out fires right now. I have them down at French Appeal right now. They're working on cutting the wall out to repair a pipe that busted today.
What's going on at the high school? Do we still have the issue where it's leaking over a panel box?
That was ignored.
You're talking about the circuit breaker?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that, and I know that the last time we had this conversation, everybody tried to dispel my fears, but if we have a leak over a panel box, that needs to be fixed instead of ignored. I don't care if...
I've brought this up numerous times. The only way to repair it, we've had guys come out and excavate, found out that the ductwork is in solid concrete. It's to eliminate that and run a complete new circuit.
Well, as a board member, I'm in support of that because I have serious
Computers
Mr. Dunham was
box.
even, Mr. Paul Dunham was even out and looked at it when we had it excavated.
With that, to me, should be one of our top priorities. That, to me, should have been on this list of things that needed to get done. That, to me, should have been done whenever it was first known to have this leak.
That is unable to be done by our people though, right?
No.
No, that is not,
That's
it's not a
based
paint,
on
it's,
what?
and the second thing, it is not a panel box. It is what's called a pull box, where the wires come in, go through this box and go into another pipe. They're not split, Mr. Dunham has seen it, they're not, there's no breakers, there's no opening. It's the same thing as if the wires would be outside underground.
But the fact of the matter is we have this leak and that's inside of a building. And how long has this been going on? For years?
Probably 15 years.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why we're not addressing it. And I think we should.
The only way I would go with that right now is I would move that classroom out of that classroom. I mean,
Is there a reason we're not moving forward to have this fixed?
well, unless we got another $60,000 laying around.
Minimum.
You can't sweep it under the rug and pretend it doesn't exist.
Yeah, but it's not really a hazard, okay? There's a lot of wires in there, but there is no, they're all coated. There's actually no way for water to get
And
to.
does this room have some nickname?
Does
called-
it need corrected? Yes, it needs corrected. I don't think it's an imminent danger.
Is there another room for that classroom?
That'd be my suggestion.
Not at this time. I can put them in the auditorium.
Does this room have a nickname of the death trap or something like that? Is that what everybody's referring to it as?
I've never heard that.
What?
Death
I'm
trap.
usually the last one to
What?
hear it.
A death trap.
That's what's being told to me. Well, I would like to see if the action taken to fix it.
If they can fix it.
All it can be
Okay.
fixed, it's just no cost.
The only way to fix it is replace it and move to a different location, because from what I understand, Miller's has been in 2 or 3 times, other contractors have been in. We tried excavating on the outside to fix it. It is encased in total concrete. The only thing we can figure is that the pipes, when they originally installed, was laid on fly ash. The fly ash ate through the bottom of the pipe. To fix it, you have to dig up the entire front yard. If you want to run the same route, you got to go through the foyer and through the kitchen, or the cafeteria and the kitchen to drop down.
When was the last time that we had professionals look at it?
Last summer they dug it up. Last summer we dug it up.
Summer of 2017.
I knew it was lately that we talked about it.
I agree what you did in July or August. I agree that you should do it a little bit earlier because it's a very good idea.
It might have been the summer before. It might have been. No, it was
It was the last.
Was it last summer?
And we reinstalled those gutters on that.
That was all last year.
Got water away from there, taking on down the walls. We'll still finish.
There's times it'll rain for days too and it never leaks. It'll rain for days and days, never leak, and then other times it'll sprinkle and it'll leak. There's no rhyme or reason to it.
Any questions for Mr. Dillo at Oliver Galton South?
Mr. Dillo, special ed. The numbers, did your numbers go up from, I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot here.
Yeah, that's fine. I think they did go up. A lot of the students transferring in, many of them have IEPs. So I would say they went up probably from last time 7 kids. Currently we have 85 learning support students, 17 life skill students.
Mr. Pisco, how many do you have? Do you know off the top of your head?
Not off the top of my head, but I have had some transfer students both out of state and
Is it that
also
many?
in-state.
I mean, is it that many or less or?
I would say out of the number of transfer students, say I had 13 or 14 kids, I would say 5 or 6 have had IEPs. That I know.
But do you have like the 85, what Mr. Dillo said?
Not off the top, I'd have to look at my report again. It was listed on the report.
Okay.
I would say roughly about the same.
Okay, because I am just not happy with what we did with the half a day at Smithfield and with the half a day at South. I rethought it. I mean, I don't know how anyone else feels, but I mean, I understand Smithfield may be coming over the top in the one class, the life skills. However, they are not there yet. And when I talked about South, nobody seemed to want to do anything when you were in that situation last year. And this is just my personal feelings. I don't like half a day here and half a day there. I think it should have been split up, and I will say it till the day I leave this board, that South and North should have had the exact same amount of special education teachers.
Mr. Dillo, Mr. Plisco, how are the entrance procedures working at North and South? I know the first couple of days we had some lines up outside.
I think it's going well. We are searching the bags with using manpower. That is a concern. We don't have the bag scanners. It is a concern. And Mr. Chislow reports every morning to South, and he helps us out along with the security officer and myself to check the bags. It does take a while to check them, but the kids, like Mr. Hutchinson said, are resilient, and they're working with us. It's a pretty good setup in South that they have the portico out front to shield the kids from certain types of weather, but I am concerned if the people that's searching the bags, one of us is not at work someday, it may be short, it may take quite a while longer for one person to search all the bags coming through.
Mr. Dillo, since Mr. Cheslow previously stated that he was very busy putting out fires, why are you employing him to check bags?
Because when I first started, we were down a security officer, and I was searching all the bags myself. And then Mr. Bilecki was coming over, and then I believe Mr. Pay asked Bill to start out his day there to help search bags for, I think we do it for 20 minutes in the morning.
So I do have, Bill goes to South. He starts at a little after 7. And Bill Parham's doing the same thing at North with Mr. Plisco.
Yeah.
How's things going?
I would, like you said, the first couple of days were...
Yes, it's an hour and a half here, Mr. Pay, not 20 minutes. He wrote he does it for an hour and a half.
Well, I set up at 7. We get finished around 8:15, 8:20, something like that. I mean, I didn't get it down to the exact minute.
But I definitely think we need to talk about some alternatives, because it doesn't make sense that we're paying somebody with Mr. Sheller, you know, at that level to be bag scanning.
Well, your first hour is free because I'm not supposed to start until even 8, so I'm
How
going
much
to
are the
not.
bag scanners for the high school?
Roughly $22,000 for each bag scanner. I know Chief was going to talk tonight about considering bag scanners for each middle school to help with the entrance at both schools. Mr. Dillo, Mr. Plisco, if you guys want to chime in.
I like Mr. Fagan mentioned before, the first day or so, obviously it's new to students, so we have metal detectors. As they went through, we kind of got used to procedures. I do have some staff that goes outside, and I had to get on the bus and just kind of say, hey, have your book bags ready, and all those types of things. So that helped speed up the process a lot faster. Bill Parham does come over and report to us in the morning. So far, the moons have not aligned where Mr. Davidson, myself, or Mr. Parham have been out. So it does help a lot. It is manpower, but I will say, I think having Bill there at times for us is like, hey, bus 20 is showing up 5 minutes late, so we got the bus adjusted. So the buses are staggered enough for us that I do have teachers and staff that are out front that help create 2 lines. I have like the greenhouse I call it in the front, but we got 2 lines and it does move rather quickly.
This is the first year for this, and we're going to have a few bugs.
Yeah.
Until we get it worked out.
Is it possible in bad weather to just randomly check a bus here and there instead of checking every kid every day?
I mean, so far we've just been consistent with just checking everybody.
Have we applied for the grant that the state is giving to secure Abergallen? Have they applied for one?
Yeah, we applied for one already, and then there's a second one coming out that I believe Jason just got.
I just got the access to today. It's due, I think, October 6th or 13th or something.
12th, I believe.
Yeah. So that's the state one.
Is there a limit on each school and the state gets? Or?
It's $25,000 to start. You can have access to $25,000, and then as it goes on, you can access more if you'd like.
The first grant we wrote, it's still pending. It's PDE. When you log on there and check, they're going to be reviewing all of these grants. That was for the Safe Schools targeted grant money for equipment. Right. So we applied to that. They're still pending. It's being reviewed through October. And the other one, it is due October 12th, I believe, where we can get another $25,000. I believe every district in the Commonwealth, if you apply, they are going to give you $25,000. There's a Part B to it that you can apply for more if your district qualifies.
We can spend money, and when we get the grant, turn it back into the district. That money, can we do that? We're not allowed.
I believe that would be.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they have. You may have to be awarded the grant first, but I'm not sure.
Okay. That's my concern.
Is that what they for one bag checker in middle school? If so, if that's what we all agreed on.
Well, and I believe that when we redid the bond issue, that there was money placed in there for upgrades in security, such as bag scanners and extra security. So there should be money there for those bag scanners.
Well, remember the stage area needs updated too.
I'm just afraid if we get that, apply for that grant, get that grant, it can only be used for safety. So
that's what
if we take it out, if we take it out of that bond and spend it, we can't take that money, is that the same?
The first one we wrote was for metal detectors and so forth. That's what was written in the grant. But that's still, like I said, they're in the process of reviewing them throughout the state of everybody that applied. It just says pending.
The question's been raised, how much money we spent out of the bonds. Can you give us a figure at the end of the on Wednesday? What has been spent on the football field and roofs and what is left over so people know? Okay. And the safety. And the stage, whatever's been said.
Okay.
So for the, as we were on topic of the bag scanners for north and south, we do a straw vote to see who's in favor of purchasing bag scanners, or do you want to wait until Denise gets a figure on how much is left on the capital project fund?
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
All those in favor of purchasing a bag scanner for each middle school, please raise your hand.
I'd like to know where we're at with our money.
Wait, back up. Is this just a consensus?
This is a consensus.
Okay.
Consensus.
Well, we'll know
You're going to
when you
formally
go
vote.
Correct.
We'll know more.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Dillo or Mr. Plisco at the middle schools? Any questions for our elementary principals? We have Mrs. Prosbalinski, Mrs. Rosie, and Dr. Witt present. Any questions for any of the elementary principals that are with us this evening?
I have a question. Mrs. Rosie, you put in your board report that your roof continues to leak. And I noticed that that was in your board report from the spring. So I was wondering if we've done anything to try to stop those leaks.
Yeah, I talked with Bill continuously whenever a new leak springs up or an old one comes back. He does have the roofing company that's been involved with the roof situation come out and patch. So he actually this past week has come out to talk about the leaks that have sprung up since the last time. So we're getting patches for our patches.
We literally are putting patches on top of patches.
This school board unanimously voted to not raise any taxes. And with all these fixes, I think a tax raise is imminent. I mean, there's just no way around it. If we want to do all these upgrades and everything, it's got to be.
Unless we close some buildings.
Yeah, unless we close some
buildings. We know where to go.
I mean, there needs to be a thorough review of all our finances and expenditures. I mean, it's too easy to keep saying yes to all these, but I mean, we need to take a hard look. And I commend, I know that Denise has come forward with those ideas, and Mr. Peg, and I know like the Mr. Golden who left, I know that people are trying to cut corners, but we really need, and we can't wait until next summer. We have to start taking a hard look now on where we can start shaving some money if we're going to keep making these other purchases. But I think everybody's in agreement on that.
Ms. Rose, to get back to you real quick. I know your new procedure up that you have for unload,
Yes.
for the parents drop off. Is there any kind of plan for a tent setup or anything, come bad weather, for those kids walking down that sidewalk to come into the backside, or?
No, not for the students. For the staff, we talked about it, just because of the bad weather. We had a serious situation in the front. I mean, it has been that way for a while. I honestly can't believe a bigger accident hasn't happened where the buses and the parents are using the same driveway, leaving in and out, and actually blocking each other. The drop-off that I have now has worked very smoothly. I've been out there talking to parents during drop-off time. They like it a lot, but it is the shelter situation for the person on duty. This situation, I see kids that are wearing raincoats and bringing their umbrellas. So,
Okay.
but as of right now, no, there isn't anything in terms of building a shelter.
I know, I like the setup that you're doing, don't get me wrong, I set up there and watch it.
Right.
I'm just worried come winter time stuff, those kids unloading there and
But
they'll walk in.
it's really not that much further than walking down the walk, than how they were doing it last year.
Yeah, not much further, just that there was just a little bit of a covering over the student drop-off area. You get blowing snow, whether it's in that area or behind the building. Mr. Joe, he's just going to have to be a little more diligent, just making sure that's just a different area to make sure it's clean.
I was worried about the back of the building.
Right.
The back part. Okay.
I have a question for you too, Mrs. Rosie. Someone, I actually have a complaint from a parent. Are there band lessons being taught to the elementary students at your school? I always thought there was in the past. And something's going on now, that a schedule changed or something?
There is a situation, we do have a lot of students that have signed up for band. Mr. Kendall in the past has helped Mary Kendall from South. She's the band director at South. She would come over one day a week to give lessons. In the past, because of the participation rate, Mr. Jordan had asked Mr. Kendall to help give lessons during that time. At this time, I'm not sure of the arrangement of Mrs. Kendall or the ability to do that. Right now, Mr. Kendall is trying, but not everybody has their instruments yet. 4th grade doesn't have their instruments yet, and so we're just waiting until that time. Right now, I believe the number was 51 students that signed up for band.
Okay.
He's only giving lessons right now to the ones that physically have their instruments. But he doesn't.
But is Mrs. Kendall coming from South to do it?
Not at this time I'm aware of.
But she always has in the past, right? I didn't know really what to tell this person. I really just always thought, I thought that Mrs. Kendall came over at least one day.
Last year she came on
Excuse me,
Wednesdays. Last year she came on Wednesdays. I'm certain about the years prior, because I wasn't there.
Okay, maybe Mr. Payne could talk about that.
Well, in the
I
past,
didn't know what to tell.
they never started band lessons until sometime in October because of the problem everybody having instruments and settle down. Because I've had 3 children go through there and it's the same problem every year.
Yeah, they had their band fair where the children check out the instruments. I believe next week is where they have the meeting at the high school to do the rental program.
Right.
And then it kind of filters out as to who actually has an instrument versus who doesn't. The rate in which kids don't, but actually sign up and bring a paper versus not getting the instrument is about 10%. And we're at 51 right now.
Okay, well, I mean, the elementary feeds into our middle school, which then our middle school, so I told the parent.
I do believe that the band lessons are given. I know Mr. Gift, I believe, gives the band lessons at A.L. Wilson, Plava.
He comes to Friendship Hill.
Does he go to Friendship Hill as well? I know Mrs. Kendall, I thought she was going to Smithfield, but you said she hasn't done that yet?
No.
And Mrs. Diamond goes to Masontown. And Masontown's not one of her feeder schools, and Mr. Gift is giving the band lessons. They have 2 people go to the same school, so Mrs. Diamond does go to Masontown one day a week in the afternoon, I believe.
Some Thursdays, that's the same way it was last year when I was at Masontown as well.
Okay, well, I just don't think Smithfield should be the only one who does not have someone come. And I mean, I'm sure Mr. Kendall has a full schedule with his music class.
Do we know what the issue is with that?
It might just be with the schedules for the music teachers and the band directors. We can, I did talk to Mr. Plisco. We might be able to work something with the schedule for Mrs. Diamond to go to Bible possibly. We'll try to work something out, maybe have Mr. Gibb go to Smithfield. That way there's at least band lessons at every school for 4th and 5th graders. Any other questions for the elementary principals?
Mrs. Rosie, you're still on the hot seat. Going back to your leaky roof.
Yes.
Is it to the point where it's affecting the education of the students in the building? Do you have buckets or
No, not at this
garbage
time.
cans?
Mrs. Jordan had mentioned to me prior to her leaving that there was a problem in the classrooms probably like 2 years before she retired. Those leaks were fixed. I diligently watched the classrooms. Knock on wood, we don't have any major leaks in the classroom area. Most of them are down the main hallway and in the cafeteria kitchen area, not to a point where we need buckets yet.
Okay. It's not a safety issue at this point?
No, not at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, principals. Mr. Dupont, athletics?
Field was complete, finally. We were able to get on there for the first football game. Turned out very nice, got a lot of compliments on it. Don't have a lot. I do have to go into executive session with some coaching hires.
Any questions for Mr. Dupont?
Yeah, I do. Hey, Dwayne, I see down here on personnel on grant permission hire following high school coaches. Do you, apparently this is for the winter and spring?
Yeah, there's a bunch on there.
Do you already have a list of people for this?
Yeah.
Come Wednesday, could I see that list and with a price tag?
Well, in executive session, I'll pass that on.
Okay, oh, I got you. All right, sorry about that.
Dwayne, I have a question, and I don't know whether really to direct it to you or to Mrs. Sheets, but Mrs. Sheets had said a few months ago that approximately $33,000 to $35,000 a year was the income from all athletic admissions. Yeah. Do you have a problem if that money's put in a separate account and we just paid $300,000+ in the field? My thinking is if the income from all gate receipts from athletics is $35,000, if we put that in a separate account, whenever we need a new field, there should be approximately the same amount of money that we would need for the field, and we wouldn't have to, go out and float a bond to do that. Do you have a problem? Is there a problem that I'm not seeing?
Doesn't money for the officials and everything come out of there, Dwayne?
Yes. I mean, we do set aside X amount of money per season, fall, winter, and spring, to pay for game officials, staff workers, and all that money. Whenever I take gate receipts over, it goes back into the general fund.
Yeah. And I realize, I knew that, but my point is, it's much easier to come up with money to pay the game officials than it is to come up with $335,000 to $40,000 for a new field.
I have no issues with that. I mean,
is that a problem, Denise?
It all runs through your general fund, so it all ends up coming out of your general fund balance in the end.
But if the money is designated for, I'm going to say athletic improvements. My idea is to keep it in there the next time that we need, new turf on the football field, since that's the largest expenditure for athletics that we have.
In theory, that's a great idea, but in reviewing the financial information that was in our board packet, I requested some supplemental information. And just for example, one of the expenditures was for $11,500, and when I inquired into that, was for these officials and staff workers, just for the football varsity, the football JV, the soccer boys, the soccer girls, and the volleyball. $11,500 just for those sports. Well, a couple of the other things that I inquired about was, one bill to Century Sports for $3,223 and some change was for, it looks like, football equipment. Football helmets, football pads, helmets, helmet cleaning wipes on the back, and $8,000 expenditures. It looks like more football expenditures. So in theory, I like your idea, but I think that we're spending well over that $30,000 in sports, like a drop in the bucket.
You're going to make concern about safety on most of what you just said.
No, and I'm just saying, though, in terms of earmarking this money for the field, in theory, it's a great idea.
I understand.
We do set aside for each sport an X amount of money that we allocate for each sport, and Denise has a copy of that we can present to you if you would like to see that.
Well, we do know football is the most expensive sport to fund.
Well, the helmet,
because of the conditioning and the helmets.
It also brings to us the most money if you really want to look at it.
Yeah.
But this needs, we need to wrap this around to looking, if we're going to look at saving money, as a lot of the other local school districts are doing, we're going to need to review how much we're spending on athletics. I think that's the sad reality of where the school districts are at this point.
Yeah, I agree. We're in the business for education.
Right.
Don't want to take teachers out of the classroom. Start looking at other ways to save money. I agree.
I mean, it is an extension of the classroom. I mean, we have a lot of talented students that are also very good athletes or gaining scholarships throughout the course of their high school careers too. So, I mean, it goes hand in hand.
Any other questions for Mr. DuPont?
I have a question. I'm one of the people on this list that's affected. 9th grade boys baseball. If anyone doesn't know, my name's Steve Strange. I coach JV fall ball. I was a Smithfield Legion coach this year. I was the 9th grade coach last year. I basically invested in this program all year round. Have been for 2 years now. I was just curious about this process. I only found out about this meeting about 2 hours ago. Like, are there other people in the running for that, or do I have to wait till Wednesday to find out when we brought back?
I don't know, normally we had names on we would already have these. Yes, I understand. I understand. But I understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
I mean, it's my life. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm curious.
What you're saying, we never put it out and advertised it for an opening for a position. Is that what you're saying?
We've never notified
I'm going to be brought back, or if I have to wait until Wednesday to know how this process works.
Wednesday is the voting session. Officially, all hires will be done on Wednesday.
And it's a list of names that's been brought to us from Mr. DuPont. And if we don't agree with that person, that sport is usually tabled to the next time. So we're not sure of the person, we don't know who the person is, what criteria they have. We usually, that's why football got started slow, because of certain selections.
So this is always going to be like a year-to-year thing, or around this time?
Unless you have a 2 or 3 year contract.
Right.
And usually the coach for the first year is a 1 year, because we lock you into 3 years and that person can't do anything. We're locked in for 2 more years.
Well, I think football is that the only way we have multiple years, Wayne, for coaches. Yeah. I think that's the only sport we have multiple.
And I plan on bringing that up in executive session, under personnel. I mean, that's where we're at right now. And everything on this list is not going to be hired on Wednesday. I mean, we still have some time yet to hire some spring sports too. All right.
Okay, thank you, Dwayne. Mr. Cheslow, maintenance?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry about getting the agenda to you guys late. I was working out in the field most of the month here and everything, and I wasn't in the office very much, and I didn't get it to you guys. South piping is, the piping and glycol is finally finished. We ended up installing their glycol. They had the glycol sitting there. And when we did the valve job at South, we had to drain the system down. So when we did that, we installed the glycol for the company, and both those jobs are now finished. Friendship Hill had a pipe leak in the walls, I stated earlier. The guys just sent me a photo at 6 o'clock. They do have the wall open, they're getting into it and fixing it. I wanted this done after hours because it disturbs, not to disturb the classes that are close to that wall and everything, but them sawing and cutting into the wall. The trailer roof here at Deeford, we've been patching it on a regular basis. The shingles are so brittle, they're blowing off. And we've just been patching them with tar, but that's eventually going to need replaced if we're going to keep these trailers out back. That's just something to keep in your mind. And also the trailer at Smithfield is getting very bad also. Now I believe my guys could probably do the roof jobs on them if we had the time. Say next summer we do this maintenance blitz, maybe we can knock 1 or 2 of them out. But then again, we're taking the guys away from their normal maintenance routine, so we can try to fit something in. That's about all I have. Do you have any questions for me? Oh, the student parking lot, I'm sorry. Mr. Pegg and I was talking to the contractors in the back of the student parking lot, and they're willing to assess what it's going to cost them to just patch the parking lot. In turn, we said instead of patching it in October, just patching it up, maybe this spring, that we could go together with what they was going to put into it and what we're going to put into it, say almost half and half, and recoat the entire parking lot, but that would be up to the board. So we could either patch it in October or go wait till spring and recoat the whole entire parking lot.
Well, they have to put it back the way it was.
Oh, when we met with them
yeah,
about a month ago, you know, where they cut through the parking lot, they were going to patch it, and I asked them, I said, would you be opposed if we talked to the board instead of just patching it? If we had the parking lot tar and chipped again, would they be willing to split that cost with the district instead of having a patch?
Yes.
You know, just redo the whole thing. They'll do whatever we want. I told them I can't give you an answer. We need to talk to the board to see what route we would prefer going. I mean, as of now, they would patch it. They would do that in October, and then they would put new lines down. They're not going to do that if we agree that in the spring we can just redo the whole parking lot with tar and chip, and they'll pay half of that, plus they're going to do the line painting anyhow.
Right now we're about 1 inch thick too with the coating we have on there. If we can put a second coating on there, that would help build it up even more and make it more stable.
Do you think it'll be all right to make it through winter?
With the patching, that's an if, I can't tell you. I mean, it
Well,
could,
no, what I'm saying is how can we, is it going to be okay for us to get through winter if we decide to wait till spring?
it's fine to drive on and everything right now. We do have pressure running the
I
air.
did drive on.
But it's, you know, with the freeze thaw and stuff, it's only Mother Nature can tell you what's going to happen.
It's better than what it was before we had the tar and chip a few years ago when it was just all gravel.
Right.
You know? So, I mean, I think it would be...
It's in my opinion that I'd be willing to wait till spring to get it all redone.
And there would be a cost. Some of that cost would be the district, not just, you know, that. I just thought that would be an option that we could consider. And it might be better off in the long run.
That's the way I feel.
So,
How do you feel?
I have a consensus. How many of you would like them to patch it in October? Or how many of you would you rather wait and have it tar and chipped in the spring? Tar and chipped in the spring? Okay.
Mr. Cheslow, I do notice on the back of your page, the pricing for the stage curtain in Mason is what?
The bottom of the stage is dry rotted and the hems come out of it and everything.
It's just the aging.
It's pretty bad shape, so we're trying to get pricing on that and everything and stuff to help them out. I believe the PTO has agreed to help pay for that, which would be nice, but I've called Pittsburgh State. They was the ones that originally installed it when the school was built, and I haven't heard back from them yet.
Okay.
Mr. Cheslow, we had talked a couple of months ago about the bus portico at South. What was decided about that?
What was that, sir?
The bus portico at South. We talked about painting it versus putting tin on it or vice versa. Where are we at?
We talked about that last month, I believe, and since then I've been doing this work and everything. I told Mr. Pegg as soon as things try to slow down, I got to try to get some pricing in order to present to the board whether you do want to do that or bring somebody in to scrape and paint it.
Any other questions for Mr. Cheslow? Okay, Denise, you want financial now, or we'll come back?
I really don't have anything unless there are any questions from the board.
Do you think we should have
Chris, I want to go back one
meeting
step.
in October?
Oh, I'm sorry. We'll go back.
This is first we asked if we could have a financial meeting in October to discuss.
To start the finances and kind of what we were talking about tonight, and look for possible ways that we can cut expenditures. Have a workshop about it.
I'm for that. I will try to attend.
Hey, Paul, you wanted to add something, Mr. Cheslow?
Are we going to take that maintenance thing to the executive?
Yes.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, we do have a few items under maintenance for executive, which we personnel.
Yes.
Personnel, right. Technology, Mr. Boland. Any questions for Mr. Boland?
I do. I got a complaint about couple complaints about the phone system going back to the guidance counselors' offices at the high school. How's that wired and why is it wired that way? Is there a direct line that goes back to that? I talked to Mr. Hutchins about this too. There's phone calls going back there, it's not getting answered, coming back out front again. And those people out front don't have no answers.
Right. We discussed this was last week, a couple days ago. I had a couple ideas that I ran past him on ways to alleviate the situation. So we're going to try with one, and then if that doesn't work, we have another idea that we're going to do.
What would that be?
So I can program the system to, when a call gets routed, if a certain person doesn't answer, it could bounce to someone else. If that person doesn't answer, it could go to someone else. So we're going to reroute the calls for that department. If that doesn't work, we're going to actually designate the guidance department their own phone number. So that would be a direct dial. If someone wants to talk to a counselor, they would call this number. They would be completely separate. They would get that department. No tie in at the front.
It was set up that way previously, wasn't it?
I think it was. I think it was. And then when we changed over and went online and everything, it just was buried. But they do have I did look into it, they do have their own number. However, that number now is the high school's number. The general one is the automated caller, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But if no one answers from that office, it doesn't matter whether it's a direct call or whether it's rerouted. Is that
correct? My concern is it's coming to the main office, and then if they send it down to guidance, it comes back to the main office. I don't want that. That's just like if you would call customer service and they say, I'm going to put you here to there to here. By the time it patches you through, you don't get anybody. You're irritated.
So why aren't the guidance counselors answering their phones?
I don't know if they're meeting.
So the problem, so it's ringing in the guidance counselor's office. It's not a tech problem that it's automatically getting bounced back.
Correct.
So, yeah. So wouldn't a simpler thing?
I'd love to have
solution.
I'd love to have a line in there where we can log those numbers and what's being answered.
Well, I know if somebody calls me and I'm on the phone, I can't get the other one. But you can see it ringing. You know what I mean? But there's voicemail. So that end of it, I just don't like the way it's coming into the front. If you want guidance, you know what I mean? We shouldn't have to pick that up, and if it's a guidance question, all my stuff should go to guidance. If I know if you're talking about guidance, courses, course selection, it ought to be guidance. In normal high schools, everybody's in one office.
Right.
We're not, it's fortunate they're all down there by themselves.
Mr. Boland, there is a way that we can log, who is going to and whether or not they're answering. I mean, does each guidance counselor have their own extension, or is this going into a general office? Okay. Can we do that? Is that an added expense, or is that something that you're?
No, I should be able to set that up.
I personally don't think some of those phone calls are getting answered. They're just getting rerouted.
Okay.
That's what I would like to do before I go that approach. By looking at the guidance end of it. Okay. I got to know for sure that if I'm sitting in my office and someone's calling, I can see that someone's calling if I'm on the phone, or if I'm with a kid.
Right.
So I think if I can look and start that way, to give me a little more to go on, that would be my start. However, I do like, it's their own department. He's got his on the athletic end. That's the athletic department. The guidance department. The main office.
Technology.
Security. Technology.
Right.
Yes.
And the fact that we're talking specifically about the guidance department raises some red flags.
Correct. Correct. Agreed.
Okay. All right, thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Bezak.
What we have on a positive note, a lot of good things happening in schools, specifically at the elementary. We're working with the teachers since the beginning of school early on, looking at data. They've been having some specific one-on-one meetings as teams. I'm getting a lot of positive feedback. They all administered their beginning of the year tests to the kindergarten through second grade students. We postponed the middle or the upper elementary grade 3 through 5 to a little bit towards the end of October so that they would get a little more basic information, and then we would test them to see where we're at with where we need to go with the remainder of the year. I'm very excited about the libraries at the elementary. They have partnership with the computer teachers at the elementary. They are going full force with coding and participating in the Code.org initiative. This is to build off of 2 teachers that went this summer out of state to a session. Ms. Petra and Mr. Dunham went. So we are bringing it back and we are implementing it in the schools. And on that note, we also were able to get more Chromebooks for the students, and I'm also going to secure probably 28 Chromebooks more for the K2 teachers to be using for the when they dibble the students, which is another diagnostic, which at some point, if you'd like an explanation, I can, but I won't do that here. The elementary tutors are all working out. They've all had their preliminary training. They understand what their roles and responsibilities are in the school, so I believe that the building administrators are quite pleased to have them on board. We also have, I have included in the packet a overview copy of the school district comprehensive plan. It's a combination of, and it's for a first read, it's a combination of all the plans submitted by each elementary school to the state. Then it gets uploaded into an overall plan. Part of the plan is also, this is done in a special ed plan, and it's more just a consolidation of all of the individual buildings and what their goals and plans are relative to some of the federal initiatives that we're implementing. It's in there for your review. I do want to admit to you that I was a little taken back. It's very cookbooky. Most districts in the state, if you went online and looked at their website, most of these all look the same. We did really try to make it our own. I will say that it was initiated this round. This comes every 3 years, I do want to say. And part of this plan had been initiated by the former person in my position. And then when they left, I just had to kind of pick it up and see where we were at. I do want to say that on the next cycle of planning, I do want to open up to more people coming and sharing out and being a part of the whole process. Up until this point, I used the existing committee that was available to just seek some information about what was done in the past in order to meet the deadline, because I faced the deadline the minute we moved on. So, but it has all of our newest initiatives. Also, if anyone would be interested, I am compiling a list of all of the initiatives concisely in a little folder with all of the items that we have bought with Title I, the technology items. And again, it's just a concise representation to make a connection between what we're doing regarding federal money, what we're doing regarding overall district goals, and what we're doing technologically speaking to support any of those efforts. So.
Thank you, Mrs. Bezak. Any questions for Mrs. Bezak?
Just briefly, in looking at this plan, there's I don't know, approximately 35 people that are on this planning committee. How do you all communicate? Do you have formal meetings?
Well, what had happened was, we have a mailing list. I went through, those were the people who were on the previous plan. I did try to consult with the intermediate, what do I do here? You know what I mean? I don't know what was done, and it had to be done. It has to be submitted for 2 meetings, and it has to go in already at the end of this month. So I did mail out a mailing to those existing members. And on the first meeting, we did get a pretty good turnout. I have the sign-in sheets. Second meeting, the thing is the part that people wanted to be a part of when this first started was, if you notice, that mission and vision statement. Those things were all part of this existing plan. We did not create that. I was not in any way, shape, or form going to change that because that is a collective group of people that represented, obviously, parents, teachers, the various departments. So they did collectively arrive at the vision of the mission of the district, which made it in posters, actually, so that everybody would be aware of it. But again, it's usually just done on a mailing. They were approached. I'm not certain how she did it. They were approached, they were invited and asked to be on it, probably at a board meeting. Again, we didn't have the time, but rest assured, the next 3-year cycle, if you notice, that's due in 21. So what we'll do is we're going to start much earlier, open this up and say, hey, you know, we try to maintain for now. We need to really do our own now, without changing some of the basic tenets that they had established back in the day, because they are good, and they are representative of what we want to do. So it'll have to be an all-out invite for those who want to come, and I would like to see more people come. It makes it much easier for me to write it, because I have much more input.
Right. Thank you.
Hey, special ed, Mrs. Dunham and Mrs. Griffith are absent. I believe they'll be here Wednesday. Both were out. Mrs. Griffith was out today, so was Mrs. Dunham in the afternoon. Secondary, Mr. Hutchinson, anything further? Okay, transportation, Mr. Parham is out sick. Security, school safety, Chief Balecki.
Good evening. I put on the table earlier tonight the estimates I got from the access control systems. They're the company we bought the initial 2 bag scanners from. They gave us a quote on 2 more, one for north, one for south. Price is the same, includes the shipping, everything's identical. I haven't been firsthand at north to view the whole thing, but I spent over a week at south helping look at bags. And I think Mr. Dillo was candy coating it. We're not checking bags that well. Okay, the kids coming in there with a backpack with 19 compartments. We're looking in 1 or 2 of the main ones. We're hand filling the bag, but that's as far as it's going. If we had to search that bag up there to look at it, we'd be an hour and a half out there in the morning. And these kids are coming in not with 1 bag, they're carrying a bag, a lunch bag, and a band bag, you know, an instrument. We're running 800 plus through those scanners at the high school in 15 minutes.
So are the kids, do they have the option of wearing their backpack through the metal detector?
No.
No.
It sets it off, okay? The scenario down there in the high school is really working well. They put their bag on the conveyor belt. We have somebody running that. We have a person standing there watching the walkthroughs. We tell them to take their keys, cell phone out of their pockets, hold it shoulder high, walk through. Those things tell us if it's metal, it's all up here. You know, every day we have a couple kids come through, the lights up here. You got a belt on, you got some big metal, you know. So we're not hand scanning them, we're not, it was the belt, okay? Now when you get from here down and it lights up, well, then we got to run it back through again and check it. Because what's about, you know, I got those girls with those jewelry metal things on. I had one today, she had them all the way down, that's what set the thing off. So it's common sense going through the walkthroughs. But the bag scanners, I'm totally amazed at them. I mean, they're in color, they're high def. I mean, we're picking out snuff cans. We're picking out. We can identify pop bottles. We tell you if they're full, half full. You know, and we've had very little contraband come through. It was all miscellaneous. We're snuff cans and everything, and they go in the garbage. You know, I just been tossing them. But because it reads not only metal, but it's reading mass, and it comes in different colors. So it's been great. So at north and south, it would get those kids in there in less than half the time that they're taking now, probably 10 minutes, and then they'd run 400 kids through one of those in 10 minutes, 12 minutes.
So we have no choice. We have to buy.
But the other thing that might happen there, and again, we bought 2 walkthroughs for north and south. We might be able to eliminate one of them eventually. The 1 walkthrough, the 1 bag scanner, And then you got 2 walkthroughs that we can pass on to a grade school. Right now, we have 3 walkthroughs at the high school. We're not using that express line. That walkthrough is going to have to. We're going to take it and make a little more room in that lobby so we can be a little more efficient. Now, the final one is that student door. Last year, we probably had 150 drivers at the end. Between them, I don't think we had 25 backpacks. Man, every kid, their brother got a backpack. They got backpacks inside of backpacks.
It's the first week of school.
Well, and it hasn't let up any. I mean, so eventually you're going to have to put, I think you're going to have to put a bag scanner down there. If you don't want to run it down. The reason I was putting it all together now is they can put it all in one truck, ship it all down to New Hampshire on one day, install it in all the schools, and we're going to get a price discount that way with the way these bids are. But if you buy 2 and defer one, the one at the back door, we can order the bigger one, which north and south bought, which is the same as we had in the lobby. And those machines, let me explain it a little bit. Just the box, that's a refurbished machine. But just the box of that machine new is $45,000 if you bought a new one. Then you add all the other stuff onto it. Okay, we're paying $14,000 for the box, so we're saving $31,000 right off the top being refurbished. And they're an airport grade. I mean, you just wouldn't believe how nice they are going through there. I thought it would walk us down. We're running faster than what Uniontown was. Mrs. Franks was there that day.
I have a question for you, Chief. I take it you feel confident that the front is secure. How confident do you feel that our other doors are secure?
We still have some issues, but we're working on them, okay? We still have people leaving them open. We have people going out and not closing them behind them. We have people coming in that should be coming in, but hopefully we're working on addressing all those issues.
There's no use walking the front door and into the back door.
I totally agree. And again, that's the other thing I'm pointing to, that student door. We're down there. I've been down there a couple times a week. Mr. Hutchinson's been there. The other principals have been down there. I have a guard down there. There's 3 or 4 of us down there doing that walkthrough. But again, we're looking at bags in a haphazard way. And I mean, that's a bad way to describe it, but that's a good way.
Would it be cheaper just not let sophomores drive and just juniors and seniors drive?
It isn't sophomores, it's just juniors. I haven't had a sophomore get a permit yet. It's all juniors and seniors. The problem is when we eliminate some of it, is some of them are bringing 2 or 3 kids with them. Eliminating some of that. But again, you're walking a kid through the metal detector, that bag's not getting totally checked. Where with the scanner, one guy, he looks at the bag. I'm telling you, there's just. If you haven't seen the scanners in action, you'll stop the high school and watch it. Because it's just amazing how and we start picking up at 6:55 is when they start really getting dropped off one after another. The line hasn't been more than 2 or 3 kids deep outside the front door. I mean, we got that whole lobby in there we're using, but they're moving through there pretty quick, and they got the routine down. I mean, a lot of those kids are half asleep. Some of them, you can tell them every day what to do. But a lot of them have the routine down where they're putting it on the belt. And they raise up and they wait for the little green guy to come on, and they walk through it. And I mean, they've adapted to it. And you know, we run people there all morning. Everybody coming in late, we take them through that bag scanner and that walkthrough. So anybody coming in the front door, I'm very confident about. My 2 concerns, back door to high school, and then north and south. And I just think with the lack of manpower that you have at north and south, you know, again, Mr. Dillo and everybody who's helping me, you got Mr. Barnum going over and helping, you got Mr. Chesto going over and helping. Somebody takes off, and it's going to bog down again. And weather's coming. It may be worth the investment. But that's, again, up to you people.
You're saying you would recommend not only north and south, but the student entrance?
The student entrance, and the choice between the student entrance, it's small down there. We can put one of the refurbished ones in, but it's going to be really, really tight. And those things with the walkthroughs play off the concrete wall, and there's a metal stairway there. And all that is like interference with all that electronic stuff. So they got to be staggered and spaced.
You mean, you're talking about north?
I'm talking about backwards.
Student entrance.
Oh,
okay, so yeah, there's limited space down there. So the last quote that he has for the high school, that's for a brand new scanner. It comes in at 28, but it's a smaller scanner. It's not as wide. It's down to 21 inches. It will still do the backpacks and everything. It's the same quality grade. It's not as heavy duty as the refurbished ones we're getting because they were made for airports to do, 5,000 bags a day. But it would meet our needs down there, and I think it would be easier to get it in that system. But the cheaper one can be adapted. We can swing it either way. It's just we might have to stagger where we put the machines.
What's the life expectancy of these machines?
Well, the guy says if we take care of them, that we can probably go, somewhere between 7 to 10 years until they're going to need up and over. Now, we have a maintenance agreement with them for 3 years, which they'll come down on site and repair them. And in 3 years, that's renewable.
Is that for all of them or just the new one?
That's for all of them, and the new ones have the same maintenance agreements. The other thing that I talked in today, because if you look on there, we take these tubs off of here, and their charges for 5 tubs at $20 a tub. They're the same thing that you buy from Cabela's for $9 a tub. So we can get those tubs elsewhere. But I told him the tubs, as far as I was concerned, we're not using them. Well, he told me when it starts raining, we need to put them out there because if those backpacks get soaked, they're no good on the belt. Excuse me.
That's probably them giving us another quote.
Yeah.
You said if we take care of them, is there some kind of maintenance that we should be doing on them or something?
Well, any maintenance on them, we can call them and they'll come down and check it's covered. They're
preventive maintenance.
They're actually simple machines as long as you don't beat them up. That's the key there.
But that was a good point that you just raised. If you're going to start putting backpacks on.
Well, we're going to get the tubs out and run through there.
Yeah,
and I'm going to talk to Troy because what they're selling is those little great tubs you see in the restaurants. They put he charges us $20 for one of those things.
Right.
I buy them at Cabela's at $9, and they're expensive at Cabela's.
Right.
We can probably buy them through a restaurant thing for $6, $7.
Like Mr. Dunham says, they're not going to take the beating like they do at an airport.
Right.
You figure at an airport, there's 3,000 to 5,000 bags running through there in a 24-hour period.
It's 2 hours a day.
Huh?
We use the hours, what, 2 hours a day?
We're running 400 through.
Well, what? We're using what, a couple hours a day?
Half hour.
15 minutes.
What do we
15,
do
20
with
minutes.
them?
The ones start going all day, and every 10 minutes or so somebody runs through it because of them being later coming back in the building. We are scanning everybody coming in as far as students. Okay, even the JROTC kids coming from Thomas Jefferson, when they get there at 1 o'clock, we run them through the bag scanner and the walkthroughs. So everybody's being treated the same on the first day. As a matter of fact, VOTECs are going through twice a day. Once when they come in and once when they come back to VOTEC.
Are we going to do anything come back?
I really don't want to look at that nightmare. I mean, if we start scanning fans down there, you're going to have half a dozen security guards at a basketball game.
I mean, I'm just
to run the scanners. I mean, hopefully it's not that far out of hand. I'm praying because
From the security perspective, though, if we're not scanning people when they're coming in, isn't there the concern that they're going to be bringing stuff in and stashing somewhere? I mean, if a kid knows, hey, if I go through my...
They're limited when they come in there to that gym. We got everything else locked down around it. They can't stash in the other hallways. That's why I'm always about them doors getting fixed. I don't want them going anywhere else in that school. They're in that gym area. They can't access the locker rooms.
Are there lockers in that general
No.
area? Okay.
Just the locker room downstairs where the basketball and basketball.
Yeah, all the regular lockers are in the A, B, and C section, and they're locked off from the gym.
Chief, I believe Uniontown funnels everyone for theater performances and athletic events through.
They're trying.
Through the bag scanners. And
But they're running a lot of them through what they have set up in the main lobby.
Yes. Can we do the same thing? They go through the bag scanners, through the main lobby, and then make the right and go down that hallway, down the steps.
The drawback with us, okay, Uniontown comes in the back door, they go up a.
I want to bring something to your attention, because if you're going to get more specific, the school code was amended. Not the school code, but the open meeting law. If you're going to discuss security concerns and you don't think the general public should be aware of, you're allowed to now do that in executive session. I want to make you aware of that.
I'll save my
If I could answer that here if you want. I don't think it rises to executive.
I mean, I frankly would rather have the transparency unless there's a very, very sensitive security issue.
I'll explain the difference between us and Uniontown. Uniontown comes in the back door, they go up one little flight of steps in their auditorium, right there on the right-hand side. Okay? We come in, we got to go across the breezeway, through a hallway, down a flight of steps, and into the auditorium. They're passing 1, 2, 3 corridors of hallways that I have no control over. Okay, and lockers. But the hallways, I'm worried about wherever they go to the building. Again, if they're going to the gym, now you add more space in there. That's my thing, is we're trying to keep them people out of those hallways and extracurricular activities. And we'd be defeating the purpose trying to run them from the front to the back. But again, trying to do it at the front at the auditorium, again, the walkthroughs don't work without the bag scanners. I mean, they go hand in hand, and we should have seen that more up front when we only went with the walkthroughs at North and South. And part of that was my fault, because I saw it in Uniontown. It just didn't register until I saw the high school and then the others did.
Thank you, Chief.
And I have a need for executive.
Under other administration, one item, there was interest in airing the AG school board meetings on Fayette TV channel 77 on any broadband. I put this on as an item for discussion for tonight's meeting.
I think that is an option. I don't know, maybe Mr. Muddle can, sorry, I apologize, can expand on that a little bit more. I know that this, I believe that this channel is broadcasting some of our other events, our athletic events.
We've been working with Fayette TV since 2010. Prior to that, we worked exclusively with CUTV. The reason we work with FCTV or Fayette TV is because it is the county station. We run all our sporting events, band concerts, choral concerts, anything that's going on in the district, from homecoming parades to whatever events we've had. We've done football, we're now airing soccer, we've done softball in the past, and we do basketball. I was approached by a couple parents that aren't able to be at board meetings, said, since you're able to do the other stuff, can we do board meetings? And I said, I'll ask. I asked the powers that be at Fayette TV, and they said, sure, we'll air them. They've aired board meetings in the past from other school districts. They're not airing them right now. I know that Laurel Highlands School District airs theirs through CUTV, through an organization that they actually pay to record those. I just brought it up as an option if we felt it was necessary to get it out to the constituency a little bit better than watching it on YouTube.
Is there any expense to
No,
the district?
none whatsoever.
I think that's a great idea. What's it going to hurt? It's not costing us anything.
Mr. Tate, what do you feel as chief school administrator?
Well, I do know we're broadcasting it on our Albert Gallatin TV network, correct, Mr. Meadows?
It's the board meetings is airing on YouTube right now. Yes.
Okay. it pertains to our district. I mean, I think we're good with what we're doing. That's up to the board if you guys would want to do that.
Definitely seems another step in the right direction for transparency. I mean, what could be the possible downside of airing it and letting more constituents see what's going on? I mean, there might be some people that have access to TV but don't have good internet access to the savvy to log on to YouTube.
And I also know that anybody can come to these board meetings because they're public meetings. They could record it and they could also submit the tape and air it that way too without your approval.
You talking only board meetings, or are you talking work sessions?
It would be whatever you decide would be viable. That's why when I brought it to Ms. Krupp about doing that, if it would be something the board would be interested in doing.
I think it's a great idea.
Is the board interested in that?
With discussion in that.
That's not an executive session.
Okay. Those in favor of?
I think we should study it before we make a decision.
What could be the possible downside of airing this? I mean, it's a public meeting, we're getting it out there to the public to more people so that hopefully the more people that are involved, the more input. Constructive criticism is a good thing, brainstorming is a good thing. I don't see what the possible negative is except for the possibility of some negative feedback.
I really think he's really interested to come to the meeting.
Some people are some people,
I got 4 people here from the general public.
Some people can't come because, quite frankly, they've got
I got 4 people here from the general public.
Some people, you know how many people are not here tonight because they have 1 or 2 or 3 of your kids home or more? How many people can't come because they've got physical disabilities? How many people can't come because they can't hear? I mean, there's no good reason to say no to this. It's not going to cost the district any money. If you vote no on this, it's a clear sign that you don't want the public to know what's going on.
I don't think you can say that.
Well, I said it.
Just remember, when anybody calls me, I tell them a squeaky wheel gets results. So if you have a problem, come here and squeak so we can hear. Thank you.
Let's move on.
Any further discussion? Anybody interested?
I have a question for the board about the financial meeting that we're going to have. The annual financial report is due October 31st. Would it be okay maybe to have that financial meeting the first week of November, and that way I'll have the final numbers for how we finished last year, and that can be a starting point for our discussion moving forward.
That's fine. We have the auction in October too.
I'm thinking if we could do it maybe the first week of November or sometime before the November board meeting.
If we have a short board meeting, couldn't we have it afterwards? In November?
Well, the November board meeting, as you'll see on your agenda for Wednesday night, we were, with the comprehensive strategic plan, there is a need to move the November board meeting to a week earlier. It would be November 14th. So,
as long as we're not missing any deadlines, if we move forward with anything. And public hearings, anything like that.
So we could meet after our regular board meeting, because our regular board meetings is not that long compared to these.
Yeah, all you have to do, remember, it's only a 24-hour notice for a special committee meeting or board meeting, whatever you want to call it. Even though you may not be voting, it's still a public meeting.
Whatever's good with this case.
As long as we're having one.
Yeah. Like the loan too.
Yeah.
okay, there is a need for executive session to discuss personnel items as well as contract negotiations.
That would be collective bargaining.
Collective bargaining, and also contract negotiations with school police.
It's a discussion of their employment contract, yes.
All right.
That's 51.